Hey everyone, and welcome back to Small Screen Sagas. I'm your host Nicole, and today I'll be talking about from Season 3, Episode 2, entitled When We Go. This was a phenomenal episode to come after last week's crazy ending with Miss Chen and Boyd and the animals. Oh my gosh, last week was crazy. So I'm glad that we got a little calm. We got to grieve along with the people of the town, for Miss Chen, for Kenny, for everyone that's there, everyone that's died there, everyone that's missing someone that's there. So this was sort of a grieving episode for not just the people in the town, but for the viewers as well. So as always, I will start off with smaller storylines, even though like they're all sort of important. I was like, wait, what do I put last? Like, this is big. This is kind of big. But we're just going to do the smaller storylines and then go to the bigger. And we're going to try to keep this around 20 minutes because I am tired. But I didn't want to put this out too late. All right. We have Ethan. He's sad about Miss Chen. Victor said he's out. I don't think we saw Victor the rest of the episode. He's like, I can't stay here anymore. I don't know where he went. He's like, I told you people die here. I told you bad things, but you wouldn't listen to me. I'm like, Victor, they did listen to you. Everyone knows that people die here. Everyone knows that bad things happen here. I don't know where he's off to, if he's going to like sleep in a faraway tree, or he obviously knows more, or he might just go to his little truck, his little safety net there. He might just need to be away from people for a little while because he's so upset. Then we get a few things with Jim. And I know it's like, why are we doing Jim now when the episode ends with Jim? But he just has a small part. I'm just going to get his stuff out of the way. So he comes home. Julie is pissed. We find out that when they lost Thomas, I'm guessing about 2 years ago, because I think Julie's supposed to be 16, 17. I don't know if they've ever said her age, but she was definitely under 18. So she's maybe 17, let's just say. But when she says when she was 15, that's when they lost Thomas. So let's say Thomas died 2 to 3 years ago. And things have been rough for the Matthews family ever since. But she said, I can't be a fill-in parent again while you lose your shit. Y'all last time went off and mourned and sort of forgot that you had 2 other children to take care of. And I was only 15. I can't do that again. And I thought the actress playing Julie did such a good job because, I don't know, it was just so sad seeing the hurt in her eyes, and she's talking to Jim, and Jim just looking like a freaking idiot, just standing there like, I know, I'm not gonna lose my shit. But then like the rest of the episode, every time he had a chance to connect with his kids, he didn't. I'm like, when at the end, when they're like, we're gonna go and check on the animals, he's like, okay, well, it's gonna get dark, come home soon. Jim, why didn't you say, let me walk with you guys? Like, I won't talk, I won't say anything, let me walk with you. I think that would have been just an easy way to say, hey, to the kids, I'm there. But Julie mentions that Tabitha has been gone for 4 days. Tabitha also mentioned it to Victor's dad, like, hey, he gave me this lunch pail 3 to 4 days ago. So we kind of get a timeline of how long it's been since Tabitha's been gone. But the reason why Julie thinks that she's dead is because she's like, people can only survive a few hours at most at night without a talisman. She's been gone for 4 days by herself. Come on. We know what happened with her. But the episode does end, and we'll talk about it here now since it's about Jim. And that's the phone ringing. So the phone's ringing. We've seen other people's phone ring. At least Kenny's phone rang at one time. And there might be another phone scene. Or I might be getting a different show. But either way, it's a child on the phone, and it says, Dad, it's Thomas. We know the town is fucking with him. We know the monsters somehow, some way are fucking with him, because how could Thomas possibly call him? One, Thomas died. And let's just say for some reason he didn't die, because I did call into question, how did that baby die off a changing table? Not being disrespectful, not trying to be insensitive to anyone that's ever happened to. God forbid, I would never. But it just, I'm like, how high was the changing table? But anywho, even if Thomas were somehow alive, he wouldn't be old enough to talk so clearly the way that boy on the phone did. That boy sounded like a child, not even a toddler. So I don't know who that is on the phone. I don't know what that's about. Although, who knows, time can be different here in this world than it is on the outside. But I don't think so, because we saw Tabitha with Victor's dad, and he's older than Victor. and it seems to all kind of check out. So it does seem like the time exists the same, but I don't know what this Thomas thing is. I haven't really seen too many theories on the Thomas thing, only because so many people are so big on the Fatima thing, which we'll get to. But I am like curious who that was on the phone. Yeah, at the same time, I hope Jim doesn't do something stupid, because he'd be like, oh my gosh, I gotta go find my son. He's actually alive. Like, he would do something stupid like that without realizing he's being manipulated. Just like when they told him, hey, tell your wife to stop digging. Like, you know, people can see what you guys are doing or something, you know? All right, let's talk about Tabitha next. So we last left off, we saw Tabitha. She meets Victor's dad. Here she is. They're both waking up for a nap, or at least she was. She passed out on his porch, and he's like, yo, I'm not waking you up. I'm going to let you sit here. But he's already called the police. But he's like, I want to know how you have my son's lunchbox. And first, he wasn't believing anything she was saying, because she kept mentioning the children. He's like, tell me how you got my son's lunchbox. And she literally went back to the beginning and tried to remind us of season 1. And I'm like, season 1 was like just the other day. It feels like it was just the other day, which I will stop here just to say how proud I am of for coming out with their 3rd season. And there are shows that started before From that hasn't had their 2nd season yet. Yes, I'm talking about you, Severance, because I don't know how long ago Severance came out on Apple TV. I'm like, that had to be years ago at this point. I don't even know what has Adam Scott been up to? Like, why haven't they filmed a season 2? Maybe they have. I haven't caught up with like when season 2 is coming out. It could be coming out later on this year, but it's been years. And From now, as well as Abbott Elementary, they're coming out like, yo, boom, boom, boom. We're going to give you guys a new season every so often, because I swear season 1 of From, it feels like it came out in 2023, and I should have looked it up, but at the latest it was probably 2022. I mean, it just feels like it just came out and we're already on the 3rd season. So bravo to you guys for all the shows that take forever. And I understand some shows, you know, people, there's different actors, different scheduling, blah blah blah, different, you know, all the behind the scenes work they got to do and all that. But like, y'all getting ridiculous with holding out for more than a year for these shows, especially Handmaid's Tale. Now think about it, that's another one. I had to look it up. I'm like, when is Handmaid's Tale coming back? It's been like 3 years since last season. So anywho, okay, going back to Tabitha though, she talks about saving the children. That's when he sort of starts believing her. She's like, when she says sees children, because she first showed him articles of missing person. He's like, yeah, but how do I know you didn't make this up? Like, come on, she's giving you names. Look at all these names. She just fake articles. Come on. And then Victor's dad finally tells him, like, okay, well, my wife Miranda, she start hearing these voices, children are trapped. He shows her Victor's room. It's a small thing, but I hate when people be like, they have this big old house. I mean, it doesn't look huge, but he's like, this is my children's room. I'm like, are you telling me that's a 2-bedroom? That's only a 2-bedroom, because I just didn't believe it. I mean, it is possible. I lived in a townhome that was a 2-bedroom. And it was upstairs, downstairs, of course, townhome. And yeah, so it's possible. I just thought when he's like, this is where my kids slept, I'm like, that's not a 3-bedroom house? That seems like at least a 3-bedroom. But either way, he's like, this is where my children slept. Victor already had his little pictures up there, you know, little drawings that he's always done. And then he eventually takes him to the basement. But before that, he keeps saying, like, you know, my son is gone, my wife. He mentions the wife, he mentions the son. He says children, but he doesn't specifically ask, hey, was my daughter such and such there as well? Like, I thought that was kind of not weird. I know all this information is coming to him at once, but I just would think if he started believing her, like, okay, so Victor gave you this, tell me more. Like, was my wife there? Did you meet her? Did you meet Victor's sister? Like, I don't know. He didn't ask the question I thought he would ask. Maybe it's going to come up next time. But he describes how they had that final acid trip because they used to be hippies, and they're like, now that they had kids, they got Miranda's mom to watch the kids, the one final acid trip. I would be pissed off if I decided to do acid one last time. Like, yo, let me just get the kids get a babysitter for the kids. We got our snacks, we got our music, we got our whatever it is that you're doing that night, and you're like, I'm about to have a ball on my acid trip or whatever. And then it fucks you up. Like, what? If that was not an ad for do not drugs, because like, what? You guys done acid so many times, and now all of a sudden you're about to do it for the final time, and afterwards I'm now tripping. I'm now hearing voices, seeing people. I would be pissed if I was the wife. But I mean, obviously they have bigger fish to fry. They're scared. They're worried. Everything like that. But he mentions that the wife could see people that came before her and failed, and that they still there. And the way he describes the world, it was so eerie. And at that same time, when this scene is happening, it's showing us the funeral, but we hear his voice talking about it, and it made it so sad. And I thought they did a really good job with transitioning in from that scene to this one. And it was sad. It was sad. The paintings, though, that were important were in the basement. We saw the twins, the two kids that Tabitha calls them, two weirdo kids, not weirdo, monster kids. We saw a painting of the boy in white. We saw an army guy, which Jade saw in season 1, and just a few other things. So all these, we saw the diner. So we saw all this. We know that she somehow was seeing this before even going there. Now, I do wonder, I'm like, wait, because when we first watched the second episode a few days ago, I was like, wait, why did she bring her kids there if she knew this is where she was going? But I'm sure it just happened just the same as the Matthews family and Jade, everyone else. She's just driving with her kids, and then boom, to end up in the nightmare that you've already seen. Like, to have a nightmare and then months of having that same nightmare over and over, and seeing a town and seeing that people can't leave. You're like just one day there. Freak out. And it was not really until this episode that I felt like, I never thought, I'm like, there's no situation where I would commit suicide. There's no situation that would call for that for me. But I was just, I don't know. I was looking at Fatima, everybody else. I'm like, I couldn't do it. I would check out. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to make light of suicide or anything like that. But just hearing his story and seeing what they obviously went through, like, to imagine that you got into this town and you have your 2 kids with you, you know you're stuck and you've been having this nightmare, and now you're in the nightmare with your kids. I don't know what I would have did. But, like, honestly, watching this episode, I was like, yeah, I don't think I would have survived, because I just couldn't do it. I know I wouldn't be able to do it. They would have broke me day 1. They would have broke me day 1, day 3 at the latest. Okay? So, bravo to all those people out here that's surviving, because, honestly, watching Fatima eat the food, seeing Mrs. Chen's dead body, I'm like, I would freak out. I'd be too scared. I would have been gone. All right, let's talk about Christy and Jade. So Jade helps Christy fix Miss Chen up. Sarah brought her dress. I know this is kind of coming in the middle, but I want to talk about Kenny and Boyd last, so we're just kind of getting to some of this here. And I really liked it. I saw a lot of people said they liked that Jade said, "You'll come with us when we go." And that's what Miss Chen said to Jade when he first got there. I forgot what the situation was regarding. I don't remember the context, if it was because his friend that he was with, remember the one that Sarah killed, if it was that, or if it had to do with Kenny's dad, because all of that happened like first, second episode. But she obviously said that, so it was a good callback. It was sweet. I think she had said it to Jade when he was just going through it when he first got there, and he was pissed. But really good scene. Jade did an amazing job this week. I've seen so many people were like, oh, hated him season 1, now love him season 3. And yeah, Jade's always been like a wild card to me. I don't hate or love him, I don't think. I don't know. I mean, I've had my moments, but it's never been like a strong I hate Jade or I love Jade. It's just I don't know. He's cool. I have no problem with him. And that's when Boyd and Kenny, they come in to see the body. But before we get to that, let's quickly talk about the big one that a lot of people are talking about. And now I feel like such an idiot. I was actually going to go back and try to find the podcast that I said it on, because I remember either in season 1, no, obviously it wasn't season 1, season 2, when people, because when Elgin came and we found out Fatima was pregnant, everyone's like, that's a monster baby. I'm like, y'all are weird for that. Like, where's the connection? How would that possibly be a monster baby? And they're like, well, maybe Boyd's blood. How did Boyd's blood ever touch Fatima? It never connected. There's no connection whatsoever. Even with Boyd giving Ellis his blood, Fatima was already pregnant by then. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's some small possibility that Boyd gave Ellis his blood, but that blood was supposed to be clean blood. And then when Fatima and Ellis have sex or kiss. Maybe it transfused into Fatima. I don't know. It's some weird, sick game. I'm not sure what's going on. I will say, though, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And in this case, I'm wrong. That baby, I don't know what's going on. And I saw a lot of Twilight references, and I love Twilight. And yeah, when Bella was pregnant with her vampire baby, while she was still human, she could not eat human food. She had to drink blood. She started drinking blood, not to spoil. But if you haven't seen Twilight, you probably have no plans of seeing it. But I will say that it did remind me of that, because eventually I think she I don't know, she wanted raw food, I think, or raw chicken. Maybe that was in the books, but I know she started drinking the blood and she couldn't keep anything down. She was throwing up, and the baby eventually, if you recall, Bella almost died giving birth to that baby, Renesmee. But she was able to give birth, and they had to turn her into a vampire at the last moment in order for her to be saved. I don't know what that means. If the Fatima thing has anything to do with Elgin thing. I know I've seen people say, no, it's two different actresses. The one that plays Fatima versus the one that's the ghost that keeps following Elgin. But to me, that doesn't prove anything. Of course, they would want to have two different actors as of right now, because they know how, not creepy, but they know how the audience is. They know we'll investigate. I don't do too much investigation. I'm kind of just like, let me see where it goes. I read comments online, but I'm not really trying to let me figure it out. Only because I feel like people do that on certain shows like Lost, other big shows where they're trying to figure out the mystery, and it never lives up to what they had in their mind, and it just ruins it for them. Instead of just enjoying it and experience it, it ruins it for them. So I don't want to be like, oh, but this, I mean, I'll strategize. I'll kind of say, here, this is what I think is happening, but I don't want to go deep dive and do side-by-side comparisons of the shirt she's wearing versus Fatima and everything like that. So either way, I will say I was wrong about that baby. That baby, something's wrong with that baby. She's eating the nasty food, not the poisonous food, but yeah, poisonous sort of, or rotten food. Then people also mentioned how, yeah, she couldn't get in the door. She opened the door. She tried to open the door of Colony House once. It's possible they locked the door. So let's not read too much into it. But it did kind of imply like she can't get in, just like a monster can't get in, because there's talisman there. And then someone also mentioned, hey, not only that, she wasn't at the funeral. And I did pay attention that next time watching. I'm like, yeah, they're right. She was not at the funeral. Like, could she come in the church? Or is it not that it's the church that she can't come in? She can't come in because it has a talisman. I'm now like, that's the biggest story I'm sort of interested in. That, and then whatever Boyd and Ellis do next week. But I'm really interested in the Fatima storyline now. But before the whole eating poisonous vegetables, let's go back with Fatima. She's throwing up. She loses a tooth. I was glad she showed Ellis, because so many times in these shows, they keep these secrets. She's probably keeping secret. She ate the poisonous thing. If I start eating poisonous, I'm like, oh, this shit is good. I would immediately go tell my husband, like, yo, I don't know what's going on with me, but these gross, poisonous, rotten vegetables are delicious to me. Something's wrong. My tooth fell out. Something's wrong. It's more than morning sickness and whatever Mariel said. But I do like that when they went to go see Christy and they ran into Mariel instead, and they kind of had to like put up with her. They really wanted Christy because they trust Christy. They don't know Mariel. But I like when Mariel was like, yo, because Ellis was like, yo, are you good though? Like, are you good? You good to check on my wife? Because that's his wife now. Are you good to check on her? You know, and Mariel was like, what? Because of my withdrawals or because I was mind raped by the town? I'm like, okay, that's kind of crazy. But at the same time, I'm like, I'd be so embarrassed that everyone knew I was going through withdrawals. I know they got bigger fish to fry. But I'm like, yo, who told my business? Like, Christy, you should help me through my withdrawals quietly. I know Boyd and them were there, so word travels, but I would just be pissed off that I'm trying to heal and now everyone's looking at me like some wounded puppy or whatever, or like, can we trust her? They're looking at her the same way they look at Sarah, and Sarah's killed people. Actually, Sarah seems to be doing just okay around town now, but yeah, I hope for Mariel's health and safety that she ends up being okay. And I hope we get to hear from either her, Randall, or Julie what exactly was happening when they were under. All right, let's get to the Kenny stuff, and then we'll move to the Boyd stuff because it kind of meshes in. We get Jim. He finds food. Veggies are growing enough to feed everyone. It's exciting. It's like, yes. It's like when one good thing happens, a bad thing happens. You remember in season 1, Boyd found the talisman. We saw that in a flashback. Same time he found talisman, his wife goes on a murder binge, you know? Similar things have happened last season. I can't think of everything, but I just thought of that one was like specifically in my mind. But it feels like the same thing happened. Like they found food, but now Kenny's mom has brutally died, and not just brutally died, like she was trapped. Like these monsters are conniving. But anywho, Kenny and Jim, they're excited to return with food. They realize something's wrong. Jim's like, where's my children at? You should have been here. You wouldn't have to ask that question. And I saw a lot of people online saying, like, I know Jim don't think he's the main character, talking about where's my children. Yeah, and with that phone call at the end, Jim gonna be walking around like I don't know, like he's the MVP. Like everyone's just, they're all worried about him. Like, I don't know. Jim rubs me the wrong way sometimes. I don't completely hate him, but he definitely has been an asshole, especially to Victor in the past, or to a lot of people, but definitely to Victor. So if anybody I don't like, it would be Jim. And I see a lot of people don't like the Matthews family as a whole. I'm not going to go there, but yeah, Jim, just do better. Like, do a lot better than what you're doing. And I know that's like easy to say when you're in this horrible, horrible situation. I probably would have just been dead. And like, I don't know, my kids would have been alone because I would have been dead. I don't know. I just think I would freak out for real. But once Kenny realizes everyone's staring at him because his mom is the one that died, he first goes to his house and calls out to her, and like just hearing his voice, it just, Kenny's the MVP, not Jim. So Kenny is like probably everyone's favorite character, or close to in the top 3 favorite characters. So when he hurts, I hurt. When he's sad, I'm sad. It's like, I know I'm laughing, but it's just uncomfortable, you know, the emotions and everything. But it was just really sad seeing Kenny call for his mom. And then when he goes to the diner, and we'll talk about that, but he asks Christy comes and sees him in the diner. And first I thought I was judging Christy because he's like, make my mom look good, da da da. Like, after seeing my dad like that, I don't want that to be the last time I see my mom that way. So when Christy leaves, she goes, okay, well, let me know if you need anything. I'm like, what? You gonna leave him at this time? But I realized later, okay, she's going to, you know, fix up his mom. But then Celebrate Good Times comes on by Kool and the Gang, came out in 1980. That is a song that you normally play at weddings or when you're celebrating parties, happy occasions. You would not play it like at a funeral or somewhere sad or something like that. And for the Monster Town people to play this song, they've played music before. If you remember, I think in season 1 they did it. But it was just fucked up this time. I'm like, dang, they're trying to prove Boyd wrong. Like, you don't think we can break you? We will break every last one of y'all. We will have y'all going crazy. We will have y'all pissed off. And when you're pissed off, like Boyd tells Kenny later, like, you do stupid shit. So let's get into the Boyd and everything else. When Jade first goes to check on Boyd at the very beginning of the episode and finds Boyd, he's all cuffed up. He's repeating the words that Miss Chen said because he doesn't want to forget it, which I thought was very, very sweet. And, they handcuffed him with his own cuffs. And it was just sad. After Jade lets him go or, unties him or whatever, uncuffs him, he's just hugging Miss Chen. It was such a meaningful scene. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Harold, amazing job. Okay. Amazing job. I mean, you're always doing a good job. I felt like you did a good job on Lost. I feel like you did a good job here. I feel like watching Best Man Holiday now or Best Man or something. Maybe even throw old back to Oz. I think he was also in Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, he's been in a lot of good things though. Love that guy. Love that. Good actor. Now, one thing that's happening here, and they talk about it, Ethan mentions it, but I'm like, this would freak me out. I mean, everything would freak me out. But it's full-blown snowing. So if Tabitha left 4 days ago and the leaves were just sort of starting to change, but now it's full-blown snowing. I mean, later on when Boyd and Kenny are hugging each other, like snow is just falling down on them. It's actively snowing. There's snow that's sticking to the ground. That would freak me out. So we'll see where that goes. Next week, it might be a whole winter storm. They might not even be able to go outside. So hopefully they go back, gym a whole bunch of group people and take all the vegetables and whatever that's there on that ground. And I do wonder, I mean, I know you can't really trust the place, but I do wonder now that they saw the lake, like, have you guys gone fishing? Is there anything in the water? I guess they would mention that by now, but who knows? If it's their first time over where they found the veggies, they may have not gone fishing in that lake either. But Jade does ask Boyd, like, how are you still alive? And Boyd's like, they made me watch. And when Jade first asked that, I was like, uh-oh. I hope people, like, we've been watching The Circle, and when people don't communicate or there's only half partial communication, people just get their own thoughts in their mind. Oh, I bet they did this. And it's like, no, that's an ally. You about to screw over an ally. And that's what I'm sort of thinking when Jade, I know Jade wasn't implying that Boyd did anything weird, but now I do wonder, like, if the other town, because people just turn on each other and they start, when they're scared, they do stupid shit, they fear. But I do wonder if people are going to be like, yo, Boyd, like, how does all this shit keep happening to you? Or it made me scared for Boyd. Like, I hope the people don't turn on him when Jade asked that question. It just made me think who else is asking it, but in a darker form. And then if we thought, oh, well, at least they spared us from seeing Miss Chen die in last week. Nope. We get it in flashbacks. Boyd seeing it. Miss Chen, she's getting literally scratched to death. Like, scratched to death? That was so gruesome. That was so painful. She felt every bit of it. And I get when Boyd's like, she was so strong. She was strong. No, I would not be strong. I would not be brave. I would not be keeping eye contact in the end. I would have my eyes closed. Like, the whole time when Boyd is like, he stared at her, she stared at him, I would have had my eyes closed. I would have been a coward. Call it what you want to call it. I would have been freaking out. I guess that's my answer to everything. Freak out. Very proud that they, were as calm as they could in this situation, and that they did support each other by Boyd not looking away so she doesn't have to die looking at her friend looking away, and Boyd kind of just letting her know in her last moments, hey, you're not alone. I'm here for you. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. That in itself is amazing. Because the whole time when Boyd's like, they made you watch, I'm like, well, did they keep your eyes open? Because I would have had my eyes closed. Like, oh, I wish I could be brave. Who knows? Maybe if hopefully, knock on wood, nothing like that ever crazy happens. But when I saw this, I just thought Boyd was so like, he said she was brave. But I was like, no, you were brave for keeping your eyes open through all that. But let's talk about him and Donna's conversation. They had a few conversations. He tells her, hey, it was an ambush. And she's like, well, how many did you save? And I'm like, well, he didn't really have to save anybody because they were all in their house. But she was talking about the animal. And she was like, was it worth it? We are all we have. We're more important than the animals. And saving a cow for an extra week of food. I get it. And honestly, I got both perspectives. I don't know who I agree with more. In a way, I feel like I agree with Boyd, though. Like, okay, we lost, not dismissing a loss at all. But it's like, oh, we lost one person, but we saved a month of food. I mean, I don't know. Then when you put it like that, it's like a month of food. Someone's life was worth a month of food. It sounds pretty sick. So I don't know. And I guess in a way, now talking it out, I guess I agree with Donna. Because what, are we going to sacrifice lives here? We don't sacrifice lives, right? Captain America? No, but we don't sacrifice lives. So yeah, I guess I agree with Donna. But then later, Donna has like I don't know if it was later, but she sort of has a breakdown. And she says, this game is rigged. It doesn't matter what we do. It is just going to screw us over. And I'm like, Donna, that's real life, girl. Like, everything y'all be talking about is kind of like real life, but to the 20th power. The real life is rigged, okay? Shit is bad here on Earth. Yeah, it's not on that level. It's not on From level. But when she said that, I was like, okay. Are they showing us, are they trying to like just let us know it's like that in real life as well? Just like, when Christy said all the weird shit that's happening, they're just not used to it. But a baby being born, that's weird. We're just used to it now. A sun being out is weird, but we're used to it. So that's what I thought of during the scene. But Donna goes, she cuts the dead meat off the cow before it spoils. And that was a good, I mean, she did a really good job as well this week. Yeah, very, very thoughtful scenes there. Boyd goes to see Kenny, who's planning to go to the tunnels and kill the monster. He's like, fuck it. Don't nobody stop me. Don't try to talk me out of it. I'm going down there. I'm going to burn whatever ones I can. Like, they're not getting away with this. I get it. Like, that anger that can fuel you, it could also make you do something stupid, like go into the tunnels and try to kill these monsters. Like, if you're going to try to kill them and burn them, might as well just wait until they come out at night where you can, like, kind of see what's around you, because that's just as crazy as going to the tunnels. If you think they're not going to wake up while you're burning their bodies, I don't know. But Boyd's like, I'll go with you. But at the same time, when they're just about to go in, he says, this is how they want us. You know, and if you just know, if we find them, we likely are not coming back. And Kenny mentioned something about his mom being alone, and that's when Boyd says she wasn't alone. I was there, and he repeats the words Kenny mom says to him. And Kenny translates and says that she said, take care of him. He'll be alone now. Oh, he starts breaking down crying. I'm just sad. It was just so sad. Poor Kenny. I mean, no one deserves this. Let me just be clear. No one deserves this. But Kenny's such a sweet guy. And I just you don't want to see him turn to evil Kenny, you know? And I feel like each time they break him, I don't know, he might end up like Randall or somebody. You know, Randall's not evil. He's an asshole. But I just feel like it could easily switch to turning into bad. And then one of the final scenes before the gym scene, but it's the final scene that we'll discuss, is Boyd asking Ellis for help. He says, we're going to catch one of these monsters. Like, we're going to catch one of these motherfuckers. And I'm like, okay. But I'm like, why are you asking Ellis? He got a baby on the way. He just got married. Don't be risking his life. And it's your own son. Ask somebody that actually, like, wants to do it. Maybe a Jade. Maybe a Jim. Well, Jim has his kids. Maybe a Kenny. He might be willing to catch one of them. So, I don't know what Boyd's plan is for catching one. I'm interested. I have a feeling next week will be very good. But it's crazy that so much has happened. It's only 2 episodes in. So, absolutely love it. That is all I got. Hopefully I didn't talk too fast, and it's late, I'm tired. But I enjoyed this week. I enjoyed the episode. Hope you guys all did as well. I would love to hear from you. If you want to send me any feedback whatsoever, you can hit us up or hit me up on Twitter or Facebook at The Verdict's In. That's just my other podcast I do with my husband. We are currently covering American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez, but we use the same page. So at The Verdict's In, you can also email me, host@theverdictsin.com. That's HOST@theverdictsin.com. And I will read your feedback on the podcast. Until then, I'm Nicole. Thanks for listening. Bye.